Hello Internet, I'm HamsterBomb, and I have something really special to share with you guys. So, if you haven't seen any of these yet, I do a review series on YouTube called Playing With Myself, and I cover all sorts of video games and do comedy skit reviews of those games. I love making these, but a lot goes into them, and I've been making them for a long time. In fact, we can speed this up because there's so many of them in here. Now, yes, I've covered a lot of games, but eventually, now I could go on forever of so many that I really want to cover and I want to pick, but I want to hear what you guys think. And recently we did a poll letting you guys vote on a bunch of games, and my past 10, I think, or so, have all been decisions based on what you guys all wanted to watch, which is cool, and that's fine. However, I really wanted to do one where specifically Patreon members get to specifically ask for unique games that maybe don't have a big presence on the polls or anything, or if there's a game that you particularly love and you really want to see happen, then maybe that's something that I can have happen for you guys with a Patreon perk. And by the way, minor spoiler, the next episode is already up on here and is waiting for it to go up on Friday. I post these on Friday, but I did this one early so I can get started on whatever we're gonna be preparing for this next time. So all you gotta do, and anybody can do this, jump over to Patreon, and the links for that are down in the description of this video. You can find it pretty much all over. It's also on my main channel page. You can click on the Patreon link. Anyway, once you're a Patreon member of any tier, doesn't matter if it's $1 a month, it doesn't matter. Everybody who is on any tier helps out tremendously here on the channel. I cannot stress that enough, but I don't want to bore you with that stuff, because this is the fun stuff. So if you're here on any tier, you can see this post that I just made here on my Patreon page. And I'm gonna run through this really quickly so you guys know that I'm serious. And I mean, you can pick exactly what games I'm gonna be doing in the future. Near future, as soon as I start getting these rolling in, that's what I'm making. Not my picks, I'm doing your picks. Unless you want one in there, you could write one Alex's pick for his favorite game that he hasn't reviewed, or worst game he can possibly imagine that he hasn't reviewed, or something I don't know. I guess that would be fine, but anyway, let's cover this really quick. So, you choose the next Playing With Myself episode. As a special thank you to all our Patreon members, I'm inviting each one of you to choose the next games that I'll cover on the next Playing With Myself, and all you need to do is just comment below on this guy, right here, what your chosen game is gonna be. Now, I have a couple ground rules, and I'll show you how this is gonna work. So, first of all, you can only select games that I have already played. It would kind of suck if I made a whole video about something I didn't play. It's also not fair to, the game itself. I don't want to review something that I didn't even play. So, to see that, I have a link here, which takes you to my monstrous video game resume. I made a whole video showcasing this before. There's the titles of the games here, campaign completion if that's appropriate to that game, and then completion percentage if that also works, some set accomplishments, and maybe some notes I have about it, so you get a general idea of how I feel about the game. But this is just my NES page. If you go down here to the bottom, you can see all these different consoles, and it keeps going. A bunch of different, whole slews of games that are there's tons to choose from. So don't worry about that. And if anything, I have gone back and looked at this and gone, oh my gosh, there are so many games that I forgot to even put on there, and I am adding to this all the time. So use either this link or the link that you see on my YouTube About page. It'll take you to the same page and should be updated for the most part with as many things that I can remember that I've played, but I've played a ton. You must be a Patreon member while I produce your episode, like I said, any tier, and that's kind of a duh rule. It's the point. So yeah, it could be the $1 tier, doesn't matter, and you want me to play I don't know, just Chrono Trigger. You've heard me talk about how awesome Chrono Trigger is, and you have no idea what's so great about it, and there's no other games of it. Why is it so special? Not putting ideas in your guys' head of nudge nudge what I want to review. It can be anything, I really don't mind. You could just pick a bunch of the same series, and obviously that would be a little stale in terms of watching on the reviewing end. I want to see a variety of stuff, so that's why I want to see every single person on here gets to choose something, which brings me to the next rule. You can only choose one game to review, so don't post You want to see me review Superman 64, but you also want to see me review Luigi's Mansion, and you want to see me review Pokemon Red and Blue. Like, I mean, you gotta pick one. But in that case of that last one I mentioned, if you want Pokemon Red and Blue, /Yellow, /Fire Red, Leaf Green, that's a very big video. And yeah, I can still do that, but it's still one video. So unless like the game you asked for necessitates multiple games are in that review, that's the only case that I'd be fine with. So in the case of a recent one I just did, Skyward Sword, that was technically two different iterations of the same game, and they both needed to be discussed. The original Nintendo Wii version of Skyward Sword and the Nintendo Switch version of Skyward Sword. Very different. So if the game is like that, I also did this with Half-Life /Black Mesa, so if that does happen, then it's okay, but for the most part, just stick to one, and I'm gonna try and get to everybody. But yeah, I will do my best to honor every request made for games posted below by patrons. However, in the end, I'm gonna determine the order in which those reviews are gonna happen. So obviously, please be patient with me as I try and create the videos in a way that like gives us variety and structure. I wanna make sure that when we watch it on YouTube, it's not like, okay, we saw Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter, Pokemon, you know, if it really came to that, I'm just making up series here. I would want to scramble them around, like maybe we jump forward a generation, or jump backwards, like we have an NES game here, and then we've got like a Nintendo Switch game, and then we've got a PS4 game, you know, and then we've got like, oh god, I don't know, some Steam indie game. If we want to jump around, we're jumping around. But yeah, thank you guys so much for just being members on Patreon. It really does help a tremendous amount. I thank you guys every single time I do a Playing With Myself review already, and yeah, be prepared for me to call out and thank you specifically for just being a Patreon member when I get to your episode. Hope you look forward to your episode. It's gonna be a lot of fun seeing what random stuff ends up in here. Maybe certain favorites of yours or least favorites, but either way, what am I gonna be reviewing next? I have no idea now, but it's up to you guys. Thank you all so much for helping me with Patreon and picking whatever the heck I'm going to be doing in the next several weeks. But either way, I will see you guys in the next Playing With Myself review. Booyah!